Val Brkich. I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you at playing ping pong with you when we were probably in about seventh, eighth grade in St. Peter and Paul.
Yeah.
It's been a long
I
time.
remember you beating me with a paddle that had no handle.
I don't remember
Yeah.
how the outcome was, but I do remember. I remember these things. So obviously, I knew you when we were at St. Peter and Paul.
Yeah.
That's grade school. You've done a lot of things since.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're more. I always think of you as more of a creative guy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, and obviously your better half is pretty darn creative
Oh,
too.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does your wife do? Who's your wife?
My
Tell
wife,
everybody.
my wife is Cassie Brkich, and she owns her own website, small business marketing company called Brkich Design Group. And she started it 20 years ago, and it's been growing ever since. So
So you're going to be allowed to go home now because you
yeah,
talked about
that's
her.
right. Yeah, I
There
got
we
it
go.
in. Got it in, babe.
Got it in. So through this time, I know you've written a few books. I know you have some here in
Yeah.
front of us. I know you've worked for a college writing.
Right.
I know I've probably missed 5,000 other things that you've done.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of the things that you've done after college. We don't need the college stories.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
good.
let's go after
I
college.
can't tell those stories.
Yeah, let's go after
Yeah.
college. Where did you, what molded you, what shaped you, what got you on your profession?
Yeah.
And you're probably like me. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're on the same
We're on
thing.
the same page with that.
Like nobody should probably be following our steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, honestly, I went to school to study computers because I had really no idea what I wanted to do. And about by the end of the first semester, I had lost my scholarship and was doing terrible.
Sorry.
And then by my sophomore year, my grades were lower than they had ever been in my entire life. And my dad pulled me aside and said, you better do something or you're going to be going to the Army. So that really made me shape up really quick. So when I went back, I decided to switch my major to English, English literature, which was a brilliant move on my part. It really, I got my grades back up, and I ended up graduating with a pretty good GPA. But then when I graduated, I was like, okay, great, I have this degree in English. Now what? And because of that, from the time I graduated until about 10 years ago, I had 17 different jobs. And I did everything from I was an inside salesman for a company that sold fireproof brick to line the interior of cement kilns.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I was an administrative assistant. I worked for a country radio station writing commercials. I worked at Bayer Pharmaceuticals. I mean, I worked for 3 days. I worked at this company in Pittsburgh that it was a sports and entertainment marketing company.
Okay.
And the first day they had us go into a back room and stand in a circle, and there was puddles on the floor. It was all dark like a cavern, and we all were clapping and getting psyched up to go up out into the city. And then they sent us out in groups of 3, and what we were trying to do was get people to change their long distance carriers from AT&T to Sprint.
Okay.
During business hours. They were always really happy to see us, but it had nothing to do with sports and marketing. But eventually I did find a good job. I got hired as a writer for Robert Morris University in Moon Township. And I was there for 7.5 years, which was a total record for me with jobs. And it was a great job. But after a while, I just kind of got tired of doing the same thing over and over. And I had really wanted to try freelance writing for a long time to like go out on my own. So 10 years ago this month, I quit a really good job at the university and just went out on my own, and I've been doing that ever since.
But you wrote a book, I thought, before that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
You did.
Well, my first book came out in 2003, I think it was, and it was called Cage Ball Poker and the Atomic Wedgie, and it was about my time at St. Peter and Paul.
Right.
Yeah.
The cage. There's very few of us that understand what the cage is.
Yeah.
But the cage is that's where we played. Well, I don't even know what we really played. There would be a basketball in there sometimes and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it seemed like your clothes could get torn. Anything could happen.
Yeah. It was basically keep away and there was no rules.
Right.
And Sister Peggy.
On concrete?
Yeah, on concrete.
With a fence around it.
Yeah, Sister Peggy would just sit there and watch us and let us tackle each other, slam each other into the fence.
And you didn't say that because Sister Peggy is no longer
Yeah,
with us, Matt.
rest in peace. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was crazy time. So yeah, that was actually my college senior project. I wrote that book because I was still thinking about my days back in St. Peter and Paul. And little aside, today's my son's last day at St. Peter and Paul. So you
The
know,
cage isn't the cage anymore, though, is it?
no, they play just basketball and
It's
foursquare. Yeah,
yes, it's not the
yeah, it's not
same.
the same.
Well, I mean that I enjoyed that book that when you
Thank
wrote
you.
it, just for the simple fact that um, because I lived during
Hmm.
that period.
Right.
I don't know how people outside of that market that how they understood it or not, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a very sarcastic, funny, uh, a little dark,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Well, one of my inspirations for the book was A Christmas Story, the movie.
yes,
I wanted to write a funny story about my childhood, and it just happened to take place in a Catholic school. So, but I've got, people, I've had some really great compliments about it. A lot of people come up tell me their childhood stories, and it's not just that they didn't have to go to a Catholic school. They could relate because they had the same kind of stories in their school. Just they didn't have the nuns that we had to deal with. So,
that's right.
yeah,
That's right. We did.
yeah,
We had it was an interesting time. Were you an older boy there?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. See, I came too late, so I was never an altar boy. So I missed when you guys would go and get money for uh, funerals and whatnot.
yeah.
You'd get out of school, you guys would. I mean, that
Oh,
was a
yeah.
good little
Yeah,
side gig
we
you
would
had
make
going on.
five, maybe $10 a funeral, and now my son he does every funeral we can do because they make like $25. It's crazy.
People don't understand like going to Catholic school. I went to Catholic high school,
Yeah.
and guess what? The best thing that I wanted to do was work bingo night.
Oh yeah,
Those were big
yeah,
money nights
yeah.
for us. They were building jobs.
Yeah. Well, now it's the fish fry. If you work the fish fry, you get big tips.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's still employment entrepreneur. There's
Right.
ways to make money as a kid in
Absolutely.
Catholic school.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. Well, the other thing that I've noticed too is these little short videos that you'll sometimes throw on uh,
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not an Instagrammer,
Okay.
but I think I'd see them on Facebook,
Yeah.
and they're always. It's like you're always poking fun at yourself.
Hmm.
But I mean, be honest with me.
Yeah.
I I notice like when you're doing this, are you being a little serious too?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like, are you're making fun, mocking yourself?
yeah.
Um, but is it something that you're like, I know this isn't. Are you pointing out a defect for a reason or why? Like,
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's like therapy. It's like self therapy because like, I'll come in my house, and we have, four people live in my house, and I come in my front door and there's 60 pairs of shoes scattered about.
does that upset you?
It does upset me because I'm sort of a neat freak. I like things in order. So
But you
having,
show me a video of 1,000 boxes in your
I
basement.
know, I know. Things get out of control. I can't keep up with the mountain of Amazon boxes that come in. So, but yeah, I try to. That's why the basement's good because I can shut the door and not see it.
Okay.
But when I'm upstairs, I go in the kitchen and like we have, it just seems like we always have a sink full of dishes and the dishwasher's full and the laundry's overflowing. And those are like my jobs because my wife, like, she pays the bills. And
I thought this is how you were shaming your family into
no,
getting things right.
well, I shame the
Maybe I'm wrong.
kids. Maybe my kids, I try to shame them a little
Yeah,
bit.
but you're
Like,
doing this with your wife
yeah,
too.
well, that's the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh man, your wife, she's gonna kill you when she sees the
Right.
video." But they don't understand that I'm the one. I do the laundry, I do the cleaning, I do this. So I'm just saying, it's just kind of like the struggle is real. That's what I'm trying to say.
So are you pointing out that you're slacking or failing? Or what
Failing,
is it?
but yes, yes, and yes.
So what makes you what in your head made you I mock myself all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
yeah,
I don't know if it's maybe some people wouldn't even point these things out, but I point out my defects
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I think it's humorous because you do it
yeah.
and you're doing it as like, oh, it's matter of fact.
My whole life. I mean, back in school, I was the smallest, skinniest kid, and I always got made fun of. And it so instead of letting it like upset me, I would play it up, you
You
know.
embraced it.
I do it. Yeah, in the locker room, I would do like, pose downs and stuff, and have my ribs showing and like, just like, whatever, just crazy stuff like that. And the kids would laugh. So I saw that people were laughing at this. So I think as I just grew older, I just found I really enjoy self-deprecating humor. And like I said, it's like therapy for me. I can sit there and I can get upset that, there's 50,000 pairs of shoes, in the hallway, or I can make a funny video about it. And then it takes some of the pain away.
So, so really, it's been a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Mechanism.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
So, does it mean anything when we see you doing this? Does it mean anything,
Um,
or is it just you see? Oh my God, I see humor in this,
yeah.
or is it deeper than that?
No, it's
It's
just
not.
trying to,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, like just recently, I posted videos about my yard sale, and I mean, the yard sale every year it's a lot of work. I'm exhausted. It's like 2, 3 days of just picking, carrying things, and then like, people coming into your yard and trying to, get you to go from $2 down to $1 on something that you paid $20 for, and it's just super frustrating. So I just started making these videos to one, promote the yard sales, but also to help me get through it. It's just it's a tough couple days.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now, what is your wife's reaction to these videos? Does she see them first, or do you throw them out there and she sees them when we see them?
She sees them when you see them because I don't even know I'm going to do them. I
Okay.
just get inspired and boom, I just make a video, and next thing I know, I post it online, and then people, share it with her, or she finds it. It's by then it's too late. It's already out there.
But I never see you making fun of others, really.
No, I mean, there's enough here to make fun of. I don't need to point it at anybody else.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So you don't have any relationships with any friends that you make fun of, or is it pretty much you always making fun of yourself?
It's always like,
Is that your humor?
yeah, that's my, yeah, just making fun of myself and the absurdity that is my life.
Okay.
I mean, how can you not make fun of somebody who had 17 jobs, post college and still doesn't know what the heck they want to do with their life? So
You know what? Oh, I think all of us still don't really know.
yeah,
There's a few of us where that my wife gets upset because I wear these shirts that have sayings on
yeah,
them. And I think for what I have that
I would
one
never
that
do that.
I know Gen X raised on hose water
Right.
and neglect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's funny how we are watching our children different than our parents watched us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my parents, I mean, they didn't neglect me, but let's
No,
just put it to a way. They weren't helicopter parents.
right. No. Yeah, we definitely, I had a lot more freedom, or I was given more freedom, and that's just different times we live in now, I guess, or it's we see things on TV or online that scare us, so we don't know if it's true or not, so we're
Right,
just overprotective,
right, right.
Um, but you know, that's why I love living where we do because um, when we moved here, we only lived at a mile away, but when we moved here in like 14 years ago, I always just wanted a place where my kids could just feel free to run around the neighborhood, and I wouldn't have to,
I
worry about.
remember the day. I remember the day you bought the house. I
Yeah,
remember doing your closing.
yeah,
Um, it was a great Victorian type home.
yeah,
It's a perfect home for you.
yeah.
Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
the location of it and things like
yeah.
that. I remember you guys were so freaking happy.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always wanted a historical house because I'm a historian,
Yeah,
and it was within walking distance. I mean, it changed our lives because our kids were really young, and they were 2.5 and 1 month old at the time. So, to be able to just walk them up street in a stroller instead of like loading the car seats into a car, and yeah, yeah, it was just really a life changing experience for us.
so you can say that you're very satisfied with that decision.
Yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't change that at all.
That's
Yeah,
great. That's great. And through that, I see that you found a love for small towns.
yeah, that's right. Small towner.
So that was
Yeah,
something else I wanted. I know we're all over the place, but
no, that's right. Yeah.
I I always thought it was fascinating. If I recall, you remember seeing a video of yours years ago about, I may have seen the one when you went to even maybe Lisbon, Ohio, or somewhere like that, like a random small town that's not that far away
Hmm.
that you don't really realize, but you can tell it was an old small town.
Yeah.
And I see most of the towns that you're interested in, correct me if I'm wrong, are old small towns. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I like the history of the old, fashioned Main Street. I mean, right here in Beaver County, you know, we have so many old main streets that used to be thriving. And, it seems like they're starting to come back now, which is great. But, we were lucky enough, right after I started freelancing, I was on my own. My wife had her own business, and we could kind of do whatever we wanted. We could bring our work with us. So for 3 years in a row, we took the kids on 2-week driving vacations around a different section of the country. And the first year we did New England. The second year we did the Midwest, and the third year we did the Southeast. And we always tried to avoid the highways and travel like on the 2 lane,
Mhm.
blacktop, because they'd always take you to some quaint, charming small town.
So your wife is like-minded like you.
Oh,
This
absolutely.
is not you against the family.
No, no, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
We both like small towns, and
Okay,
um,
because
yeah,
that matters.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, my wife is really involved with Beaver Falls right now because they're kind of having sort of a renaissance, and she is on a couple boards out there, and she's trying to help with that because and we were talking before we started here, like when I grew up, Beaver Falls, like that's where you went to go shopping. We'd go get our shoes there, our winter clothes, and we'd go every Saturday and have breakfast, and this is before the malls, and I think you know we're moving back towards that kind of. I think a lot of young people like the idea of living in a small town, because so many people can work remotely now.
Mm.
So if you want to work someplace that's you can walk to the coffee shops, you can walk to the post office, walk to the grocery store. Um, and me personally, like you said, I've known you since we were like 12. My banker, I went to kindergarten with her. I can't walk down the street without seeing somebody I went to grade school with. And it's just, I remember when I was in my 20s, I kind of thought that was a bad thing.
You know.
But now I'm like, it's a good thing. It's really cool to see people that I've known my whole life.
Yeah, I guess in a way, and I don't know if you feel this way. Um, I thought maybe sometimes I was going to move on to bigger and better things, but maybe this is bigger and better things.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think I see a little bit of myself in you,
Mhm.
mocking myself.
Yeah.
Um, some of those things, and some of them are, some of them I'm being honest,
Yeah.
about that. Like I don't like that
Well,
about
there's
me.
always a little truth.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you. It's like there's always a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm more that guy though that I like to make fun of others
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do they say? You point at one person, what? Oh, the fingers are pointing
Yeah.
back
All the
at
ones
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. But no, I can definitely see what you're talking about.
Hmm.
I think we do. We might have something special here,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think maybe we bitch and complain about dumb, irrelevant things.
Hmm.
Obviously, you and I aren't becoming millionaires.
No, definitely not me.
Definitely, no, I'm not either. But I'm
I'm
okay
a
with
writer.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I always said I just want to have enough money where I can go out to eat a couple times a week. I mean,
Yeah,
and maybe buy.
good lives.
Yeah, we do. Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely.
A lot of people live better lives than us.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people. I won't say any names.
But no, it's true. In these small towns that you go to, because I enjoy some of the small towns too.
Yeah.
I know some of it, like right now, is self-manufactured though. Also, sometimes there's incentives given, and I guess in saying that, like the small towns were small towns organically.
Hmm.
Okay, they were thriving. I know in Beaver here, um, one of the things to keep the town a small town is everybody in the first floor in the main and has to be retail,
Right.
or a restaurant, which is the
Right.
same. So I don't know how organic it is. We're we're trying to create something, um, that we want through laws and regulation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I don't know how many organic towns there are. But
Hmm.
before, like when we were talking earlier, the complaint was what nobody wants to shop in a town because they just go to the mall.
Hmm.
Well, there's nothing at the mall anymore.
No, no.
You
All the
know,
malls are dead, basically.
malls are dead.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, no, I'm all for that. I like what you mentioned the retail thing. Like for years, like my wife and I have been on committees, in our former town of Bridgewater and then here also. But we support that because you want people to be walking around your main street.
I agree with it, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. If it was all just services, there wouldn't be any just people just going up to town just for the heck of it. And Beaver, I mean, we've seen it evolve so many times, and I think it's great right now. We have so many restaurants
Hmm.
and things like that, and one store goes out of business, another one comes right in, so it's thriving, and I think you're starting to see that in the other small towns around the area as well. Like I said, I think people want they're tired of the rat race. They're tired of commuting and fighting traffic. And when you live in a small town where everything's walkable and you have everything you need, it's just very attractive.
Yeah, I mean, COVID, I think, changed the world. Obviously, I
Mm,
don't care what anybody says. And I hate hearing out because of COVID, but
yeah.
um, I, I call it a reset button.
Mm,
But I don't think things are ever going to be necessarily the same. I think we have lived through I mean, an incredible change.
yeah.
And I love the small town areas.
Yeah.
I love the concept. I love um, the small eateries.
Mm,
I love the coffee shops. I
mm,
love those things. I do think though, and you being from enjoying the small towns, what are we leaving out for the young people? Are we leaving something out?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. As
What is it?
as a parent, we're leaving out. There's not a lot to do, for the kids like in town.
Right.
When I was growing up, we had a bowling alley on the main street. We had arcades on the main street. There was things to do. Now they can go to the Starbucks and I don't know, just hang out there. And that's basically it. There's the parks in town are for little kids. So like when you get a little older, there's not a lot for them to do. And we need to have like, in these small towns, they need to like create like centers and stuff where the kids can go hang out in a safe place and I don't know, play ping pong or pool or something, just to, so they're not just sitting there staring at the phone all the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know this. I don't know the solution to it, but yeah, that's definitely one of the problems I've seen.
Are we saying those things used to exist, or like I see things as still like we're being fooled to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Like we're still living the boomers' life, the baby boomers' life.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Like this rules and whatnot. They've gotten us on board,
yeah,
but they're just trying to recreate their childhood
yeah,
with these laws. I mean, like we're still stuck behind them
yeah.
if you
No,
really think about it.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is the same group of people that didn't know where the heck we were when we were kids.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like at what point in time we're going to have are we going to jump up or is it going to be the generation behind us and we're just following the boomers?
yeah,
What do you I mean, what are we going to do with those kids in these in these towns or for something like you can only have so many jumperoo places like
yeah.
you go that's great for a kid up to about 12,
Right.
but what do we do with these teenagers?
Yeah.
What can we do for
What do
them?
we do with these
I
teenagers?
don't know, like honestly, what the heck do we
Uh,
do with them?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's tough. Like, when we were, you know, 12, 13, 14 years old, we were still probably, I was still out riding my bike,
I know.
playing in the woods.
Playing in the
Um,
woods. I think a
you
lot of
know,
us were playing in the
yeah,
woods.
we played pickup football all the time. I don't want to sound like old fuddy duddy. Back in my day, we were outside playing, but we were like, and it's different now. Like, it's really hard to convince my son, hey, why don't you go play in the woods for a while, or why don't you go ride your bike when he has like this amazing video game set up in his room, and he can put headphones on and play against all of his friends and talk to them like he's hanging out with them. It's like a
Yeah.
virtual hangout. Like they don't have to go hang out
No.
anymore. They can just do it in their bedroom,
Right.
And yeah, so it's a challenge. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like to your point, I think you know once the baby boomer generation passes on, yeah, then it is up. It is either it's going to be up to us or up to the people behind us to.
I have a feeling we're lost.
Yeah.
They're staying
Oh,
in charge too long.
yeah. No, yeah.
And I mean, 50 years old,
Yeah.
and we're still waiting to get in charge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And part of me's okay with that.
Well, but that's what I mean. Maybe our kids are going to be the ones that are going to be the
Yeah,
next.
I'm hoping.
I'm me
And
too. I'm hoping too.
my kids, they gotta save us somehow, 'cause
They're going to be
it's not
taking
gonna be
care of
me.
us. They're going to be
Yeah,
taking
did you
care
hear
of
that?
us.
You'll be taking care of us.
So tell us about. Let's go back to even some of your writings.
Mhm.
Um, we knew what your first book was about.
Yes, yeah,
So I know you have a couple other books here.
yeah.
Tell me the inspiration of these books.
Okay,
Where you know, where did it come from in these different points of your life?
yeah,
Do these represent your life at all?
yeah. Well, my second book was a history of Bridgewater. That's where we lived at the time, and that's where my family's from. So when my wife and I first got married, we lived in my dad's old house, my grandparents' house, like where he grew up from the time he was 5. So I my whole and at one point like half the town was my family. So I just wanted to write a little history of the town, and it became a bigger project than I thought, and I started including like funny family stories of my own in here. So it's kind of a personal history as well. Um, so yeah, I'm a big historian, and this area in general just has so many great things to talk about. So that was that book, and then after that, I've kind of just been all over the place. Um, I
You have the flood
Yeah, there's some great pictures and things like that in there of the
mansion that was knocked over.
yeah, it's sad. I'm glad I was able to preserve this stuff. And my grandfather was the mayor of Bridgewater for 49 years or something like that. So uh, he was actually the first mayor of the town. So I just really wanted to do it as kind of a tribute to him. And yeah, so that was my second book. And then from then I kind of just write about whatever I'm excited about at that time. When we moved to Beaver, I always said I wanted to write a Beaver history book, but there's been some comprehensive books already written about this
But
stuff.
why? You were you and your wife were
Yeah,
Mr. and Mrs. Bridgewater.
right.
I mean, I'm glad
Yeah,
you moved to Beaver,
yeah,
but and, and you moved like 2 minutes, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Point
but
eight months.
we pretend like these are all little kingdoms that we
Right.
go
Oh
through.
yeah.
What made you come to Beaver and leave Bridgewater?
Well, we loved it. We loved our house in Bridgewater, but I think we were starting to outgrow it a little bit. It was, what do you call this? Cape Cod,
Hmm.
and it just wasn't set up, the way we wanted it, and also the downtown district in in Bridgewater wasn't that alive back then. Like they were really struggling. There was mostly closed shops and stuff, and so anytime we wanted to go walk into downtown. We'd have to put the kids in the car, drive up to Beaver, and then walk around. We just always loved the town. And, I mean, I grew up in Brighton Township, just a mile away. So, Beaver is kind of like a second home to me. And so when I came here, just as I was interested in the history of Bridgewater, I just started like looking around and wondering, oh, how old that house is, or what is this Fort McIntosh all about, really? So I just started digging into it, and I just always wanted to, write my perspective on the history of the town. And so that's what I did with this book here called Bigfoot Slept Here. Um, and and the reason why it's called that is
And I'm
because
sorry, I don't know this book.
yeah,
I knew this book.
yeah.
I knew you. I didn't know this book.
So it's just a short history of the town, like with all the main, historical subjects, Fort McIntosh and the King Beaver and things like that. But as I was writing it, I was like, man, I wish some more exciting things would have happened. Like I wish somebody would have seen a Bigfoot, or I wish a UFO would have crashed, or I wish there was buried treasure here. So I kind of weave in some stories that may or may not be true
Okay.
within the real history of the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
When did you write this book?
um, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe during COVID. I can't remember.
And how do you publish these books?
I self-publish all my books.
Okay.
So
What the heck does that mean? Tell me.
so basically, I write the book, and then I have somebody edit the book for me, and then once I'm happy with it the way it is, I give it to my wife. And thank goodness she's a designer, so she does my covers for me and lays it out in a PDF file, and then I just upload that PDF to Amazon, and they have a real simple process on there, and within like a couple of days you can have a book.
Is are a lot of writers just going that
Yeah,
route right now? Are
yeah.
publishing companies like record companies sort of a thing of the past? You just don't you can bypass them, or is there still a benefit with them?
There's definitely a still benefit in terms of the marketing. Like, I mean, they're going to really help you with distribution and marketing of your book.
Okay,
I mean, when you self-publish, I would say the easy part is writing the book. Everything
okay.
else after that is, like getting the book out there. And, but I think more and more people are moving to self-publishing because the larger publishing companies, um, they they want the next big blockbuster that's not only going to be a great book, but be a great movie and have merchandise and things like that. So I think they become even more picky, and they were way picky when I first started writing. So I did try originally in my first book to get traditionally published, but I was just impatient and I just wanted to get my book out there. And when I always tell people, I write books for other people too. I do ghost writing.
You do.
So yeah, I've done like 7 or 8 books for other people, and they're always nervous about should we go traditional publishing, self-publishing? And I said, well, what's your goal with this book? Is your goal to become rich off this book, or is your goal to have people read this book? If your goal is to write something and you want people to read it, I highly recommend self-publishing
Mhm,
because the point is just get it out there. Get it into people's hands.
mhm.
You could try to get published for years and nothing ever come out of it.
Okay.
So I'm not saying traditional publishing is, if that's what you want to do, that's great. And there's definitely some benefits to it, but I personally like self-publishing.
And have you ever had a publishing company approach you with any of the books? Have you ever had anybody consider doing a movie yet or anything like that? Or would you consider ever doing jumping into that media?
Oh yeah, well, every one of my books has been optioned for a feature film, so I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
No, I mean that serious.
No.
I think you could I think you could do a movie off of your first book.
Oh, that was like I
I
said,
really think you could.
my inspiration was
I have no idea what something
A
like that could
Christmas
possibly
Story.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've always wanted to take that and maybe make a screenplay out of it and
yeah.
then pitch it to um, you know producers or whatever. But I'm just that's just I've kind of just been hoping like serendipity. There was this one kid, I can't think of the author's name, but he wrote a book called Aragon years and years ago about a boy and a dragon, and he self-published it, and then he and his parents drove around the eastern seaboard just kind of putting in shops here and there. And this major New York publisher happened to just read it, or his kid read it and liked it. And then next thing you know, he signed a 7-figure contract, and then he made movies out of it. And I was just figuring that would happen to me too. So no, but yeah, I mean, I definitely would love
But
for
see,
that to
like you
happen.
just did it again.
Yeah,
You just did it again. So like now I'm gonna say this, and I'm not saying this is for you,
yeah,
but like in a way for me, I come up with a good idea,
right,
but then I've become too lazy to like I would never that sounds like that's a lot of and putting he put himself out there.
yeah, yeah,
I can't put myself out there that much.
yeah.
Like I can do like, yeah, this is easy,
Well,
but
I put myself out there, but I get a lot of feedback on my videos. I get a lot of feedback on my books, but I just haven't had that big break yet. Not a lot, I mean, honestly, my books, a lot of them are local themed. I don't think a book about Bridgewater is ever gonna become the next movie or whatever. But
it doesn't need to be. It
yeah,
doesn't need to be. There was a
no,
purpose for
yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
I mean, really, in an art, there's a purpose for it. It
yeah,
doesn't need to be. I know we look at we value all the success of monetary,
yeah,
and that doesn't mean it's not a success. It's a journey that you went through.
right.
I mean, is that fair?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have boxes and boxes of this book in my garage, you know, and and I'm okay with that because I just, I purchased too many when I first printed it, but that's okay
Are
because
you really okay with that?
I'm okay with it. I mean, I thought it would sell a little bit better, but it's okay. But no, but I'm happy with this book. I mean,
Does your wife remind you,
I don't think she even knows they're there. It's buried in the back. She doesn't go into the garage, you know.
honey? Was this really
Yeah,
necessary?
no. But yeah, no, I'm very pleased with most of my books and the reception they've got. I definitely would love to have more readers on some of them,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
All right. Well, then tell me about this one.
All right, so I'm a Bigfoot.
Bigfoot 101.
Yeah, so I'm a Bigfoot freak.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see we've got
Yeah, it's a theme. Yeah, if you follow me, you'll see that. But I just love the idea. I just love I remember watching In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, back in the late '70s, early '80s, and they had an episode on Bigfoot, and then that got me into it. And then when I was in grade school, I read every book there was, which there's probably one book, but I used to take it out all the time, and
that is funny
and
though.
I think I got
Did
into
you
it
do that thing?
with
I mean, honestly,
what?
how many times did you take the same book out?
Oh, like almost every time I went to the library, I would.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So but then years ago when Finding Bigfoot came on TV, I just started watching it and I started getting into it again, and it's just been like a rabbit hole. So this book here came out of um, my friend Susie has a podcast called Brain Candy, and she and her podcast partner were talking about Bigfoot one day, and they didn't know anything about it. So she contacted me and
Which
said,
is probably a good thing.
"Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, oh, most people don't." But she had
Is there a reason for that?
yeah, she had me on her show and she was asking me these questions. And I've read so many different Bigfoot books. I'm like, how do you not know this stuff? Like, this is just common knowledge among us Bigfooters.
No, it's not.
No. So I like, okay, if you don't know this, I bet you there's millions of other people who know nothing about this.
Yeah.
So I just sat down and wrote this like real little intro into the subject, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a really easy read. It's like 80 pages, and after you read this, you'll be a Bigfoot expert just like me.
So self-published again.
Yes.
What was the best book? What is the best-selling book that you have as of today?
Um, let's see. The Bigfoot slept here is doing pretty well. This one here, Bigfoot 101, I just got into. Um, I sold some copies to there's a Bigfoot the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum bought some copies off of me.
Okay.
There's a museum in Oregon that is run by the guy from Finding Bigfoot, Cliff Barackman, and he bought some copies off of me. So this one's starting to catch on a little bit. I also have the only fiction book I ever wrote when my daughter was 12. She was kind of into writing, or she said so, just to make daddy happy. But so I wanted to
You were
write
so proud.
yeah, I wanted to write a book with a strong female character, and I've always wanted to write a book that was like Goonies, that took place here in town. So
Okay.
because I love that movie when I was growing up, so I wrote The Secret of the Lost Amulet, and it has a girl named Nellie, which is a nickname I call my daughter.
Your daughter.
Yeah, and there's a boy in it who kind of reminds me supposed to be my son kind of, and his friends are in it too, and that book's done really well too, because I've gone to schools and spoken about it, and um, kids have really enjoyed it. So
What kind of schools? Like, are you
middle
talking
schools,
middle
middle grade,
schools?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Um,
The book's basically for like kids like 8 to 12 years old.
all right.
Yeah.
And that book did pretty well.
It sold at least 30 copies, Greg. Last time I checked.
So is Amazon, how are you selling the books? Amazon, is that the way to go? For anybody else that says, hey, I can write, or I want to try and write, I want to do something. I mean, you've done it.
Yeah, I would say
I mean,
Amazon.
this is successful
Yeah.
regardless of,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think you're just waiting for the right person to
Yeah.
tap in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are just, hey, I can do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I could see you writing a sitcom.
Yeah.
Even though sitcoms are dead, but
Yeah.
but something like that. I could see you writing some. Have you ever written any screenplay stuff yet?
I have.
And why do you say it like that?
Because it's still buried on my computer somewhere, and it's never seen the light of day. So I don't know if I'll ever do anything with it.
And what do you do with something like that? Can I add, like, obviously you can produce those things, you can't. You have to shop that, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. You'd have to contact production companies and things like that out on the West Coast, or I really don't even know the whole process. I just know it'd be a lot of work. And
I mean, would Lincoln Park be willing to do something like that? Have you ever thought of
yeah,
that?
maybe. Hey, cage ball poking the atomic wedgie, the musical. Be great. We can reenact the cage ball on the stage.
So wait, what you are writing, is it humor?
Yeah, everything I write has a touch of humor.
Okay.
Everything, even this Bridgewater book, even like the history books.
Because this looks very this looks just from the front,
Yeah.
it's got more of a dry,
Right.
like I would think this is just all factual
It's
information.
mostly factual. That's like the most straight book I've written, but there's some
But
funny
you do
stories in there.
have
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Because I mean, honestly, I can't never take myself seriously. And so when I'm writing things, I can't be serious like the whole time. And also I understand that, you know, Bigfoot, a book on Bigfoot. I mean, you gotta have a little sense of humor about this, you know. I mean,
Hmm.
no matter what I believe or what, you know, I think if I want somebody to read this and to put the time in to read this book, you know, I want to make it enjoyable. So
Yeah.
I try to make everything a little touch of humor so they get some laughs along the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No, makes sense. Your sister,
yeah.
one of your sisters,
One of my sisters.
um, had a brief moment of fame.
Mm-hmm. 15 minutes.
Did you think that? Well, they got multiple 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Um, did you think at that time what book you wrote a book at that time, right? You had the first book out,
The
right?
first book came out the same year that my sister, within like a month of when my sister went on Survivor. So
Right.
I launched this book thinking, here it is, like I'm about to become famous. You know, this
Yes.
I'm delusional, but I'm like, you know, this is it. You know, you know, this this is my big moment. And then so she tells me, hey, I'm going on Survivor, and then that was pretty much it for the book for a little bit. You
But
know,
was there any cross marketing at all? Did you get a bump because of that? Or no, you didn't, or it
no,
was it something
no.
that you're like never even thought of that you're like, you know what, this is her light right now because you didn't know
Yeah,
where that was going to go.
no, no, honestly, I was, and I still am happy for her. Like that's her thing, you know.
She got you on TV.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, she's helped me big time.
You were on TV for the wedding, right?
Yeah, I was,
Okay.
for her wedding, yeah, on CBS, 2 hour special. That was pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, no, but she's been a big supporter of my writing, and um, you know, and seeing what she's gone through as a celebrity, like I always said, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be writer famous.
Hmm.
You know, if James Patterson walked down the street, walked past me, I would have no idea who he is.
Yeah, I know.
But he's a multi millionaire.
Yeah.
Um, you know, even Stephen King, a lot of people, he's probably the most recognizable writer that people can think of, and you probably wouldn't even recognize him if he walked past you. And you know, I saw what my sister and her husband had to go through, you know, where they couldn't even go out to eat without getting bothered,
Hmm.
and I never really wanted that. So like, I'm glad she had her thing, and my thing is still, you know, it's still ahead of me. I think.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, I just knew I didn't know if you were gonna if you got any bump from that because I knew that that was around the same time. I didn't know it was exactly the same time.
yeah,
You know, but and then they carried it for a couple years.
yeah,
I mean, your sister did all the cool media. I
yeah.
mean, I remember when she was on Howard Stern
Right.
and whatnot. I don't know if those were good experiences for her. I mean, she was pretty young. I'm sure that was a not maybe the
It was
best
tough. It was She was
experience.
like 22 at the time. Yeah. So she did good. She handled herself.
She did handle. You
Yeah.
know what? I will. Your parents must have done something right
Yes,
because
absolutely.
because she could have got painted a different way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. She was real young, you know, but she was smart, and she was very confident.
mhm,
You know, she didn't let anybody lead her down a direction she didn't want to go. So
right, because she could have,
yeah.
and they probably would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
They being entertainment
Right.
industry at the time because
Yeah.
even back then Survivor was still very,
Hmm.
that's why I didn't know if you got any lift from that or if
Yeah.
you got a chance or I don't know if you're the type of guy that markets that way that would grab one of those producers when you guys were on set.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you would say,
I
hey,
definitely listen. I don't remember. I can't remember exactly, but I do remember. You know, say we were in LA at some Survivor thing, and there was producers around and things.
you were around those
I
people.
let it slip that oh hey, yeah, I'm a writer, I have a
Okay,
book.
so you did try.
Yeah, I tried
Okay.
a little bit, but
Okay. See, I would have been afraid that you wouldn't have done that. You would have been too.
yeah. Well, I think my wife she was there pushing me to do it. Like,
Okay.
I am definitely a little reticent to like do that. which is, when you're a self promoter, like when you have to do your own marketing, that's not always, it's not a good thing. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. But yeah, when in that moment, I was definitely a little more open to telling people, what I do. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You know, like I said, she had success.
yeah,
You may not view your stuff as success, but these are accomplishments.
yeah. Well, I always said all I wanted to do was write one book.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a little kid, I started writing when I was in the second grade, and my dream was just to be, a published author.
You would say computers. Why
Because
the hell?
because
Stan,
because how was I going to make money? I'm still trying to figure out how to make money writing books.
I
So
know, but like, why did you even want to
my
do
dad
that?
was a computer programmer. My sister was studying computers, and like it just seemed like, back then, computers were, that was it. That's what you did, and I'm not a numbers guy.
Right.
I'm a words guy. So I don't know. I was just
Okay,
following, the herd,
okay.
and it just didn't work out. Yeah.
So do you? I see you as being a teacher. That has never entered your mind.
It has entered my mind, and people have told me that before. And I don't know. Who knows? One day that could happen. Um, but I've gone to speak to schools and speak to classes, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy, talking to the kids, and I'll bring typewriters in and show and like they're like, hey, look at this, and they have no idea what it is. It's just it's a lot of fun. I'll talk about writing, but it's exhausting. God bless you teachers out there. I don't know how you do it, because I think one time I had to go speak to three classes, and I was so drained. Like, you know, fourth, fifth graders, something like that, and it was fun. Well,
But maybe a little older
yeah, but I
kids.
have teenagers. I couldn't. I can't.
Well,
I can't.
your own teenagers
Yeah,
don't care about your stories, but maybe others would.
yeah. I don't know. I have spoken to high school classes, and I'm intimidated.
Are you?
Yeah, yeah. Teenagers are intimidating. You know.
Just yell at
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Who knows? Could be. Uh, it's an option. Listen, Greg. Everything's an option. It's wide open.
So who is have you even thought about this? I know your wife thinks like I have a feeling your wife thinks like this,
Okay.
but I don't know if you think like this.
Okay.
Who is your audience? Or who do you want to be your audience? What audience would be the best for you? Or do you not even think about that when you're writing things?
Mm,
Or are you just still under this impression, I just write it and those will come to me?
yeah. No. I mean, I write most. Like I said before, I write mostly to make people laugh. So my contemporaries, my audience, are, I think is mostly our generation.
So
You know,
what age range? Like I'm asking you now that like have you ever thought that way?
yeah. No, I mean, my books are so all over the place that you know, I kind of like, this one Bigfoot book. I knew I was writing for my friend. That's the person who inspired me to write that. And then the the Secret of the Lost Amulet is a middle grade adventure story that I was writing for my daughter. So that was the audience there. But I guess the other ones, a lot of times they do it with history. This one here, where it's history and fun stories, that was definitely for younger. I'm thinking like younger people.
Okay.
Um, but now I'm starting to write on. I was telling you before that I started my own Substack page online.
Yeah, tell us about that briefly because I'd
Yeah,
never heard of this.
yeah, I had never heard of it either. So I used to blog on my own website years ago, and then I would post things out there and hopes people would find it and sign up to follow me and things, and it just never really took off. But then my therapist recommended I check out
I
Substack.
think you just did it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's right. But hey, whatever my therapist says I should do, I do it. So I looked it up, and I had no idea, but it's like this really intuitive online platform for writers and creative people, um, where you can write and post things on there, and it creates almost like newsletters that go out to people, so people can sign up. I have like 6 or 7 different categories or newsletters, and you can sign up to follow, just one or two of them, or you can sign up to follow anything I write about. But it's just, I write about so many different ideas. I write about parenting, I write about Bigfoot, I write about history, I write about, whatever. So this is a new way for me just to write about whatever, and whoever wants to follow it can, and it just makes it more shareable, and it's just great for anybody who's into writing.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it sounds like I'll be very interested to hear from you, um, what type of outreach and what type of people.
yeah,
I'm still very interested always on because I do this. Wow. Because honey, sorry. My
mm,
wife tells me what to do with this. People, my friends send something. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing this.
yeah,
Okay. But everybody has an opinion, and I love they tell me what to do,
yeah,
like how I can do things better.
yeah,
I'm not, I like, as you can see, I just sent you a message. Hey, would you come on?
yeah.
And then I
Here we
don't
are.
really, there's no prep. It's just
Yeah,
whatever. Hey, I just want to ask you about your books in small towns.
yeah,
You know, I'm sure you're always getting people telling you what, hey, write about this, hey, coming up with ideas. And
yeah,
I think, I guess in a way, it's coming from a good place.
yeah.
Like I know I get irritated, but
Right.
I'm sure you get some of that too. But it is coming from a good place.
Yeah. I'm like, my wife's always coming to ideas. Like she's such an idea person, and she's always like, you should do
Yeah,
this, you
but
should
you're
do
a better
that.
person to me. It sounds like you're more open to it.
Well,
I get cranky
no, I get
and then
cranky.
just
I no, I shoot it down, because to me,
thank
sh
God. I'm glad you're
yeah,
saying that.
when she's suggesting these things to me, they're great ideas, but all I hear is more work, more work, more work, And I tell everybody, I just want to write, and I know there's more to it than that. Like you can't just be a writer anymore. You got to do it all. But it's for me, it's just overwhelming, and the generation behind us, they're more accepting of it, I think. But yeah, anytime she comes to me with these ideas, they're great ideas, but for me, it's just like that's more work, and so I tend to just
When you do that, are you open minded? Because just be honest,
yeah,
because I say no
yeah,
immediately.
yeah,
I'm like, stop. I don't need, and I don't mean no. I mean, it's just like, I can't deal with like, it's not that I can't deal with the criticism because I'm always making fun of myself,
yeah,
but it just feels like I feel like it's piling on a little
yeah.
bit. Do you feel that like
Oh,
that?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get overwhelmed real easy with that,
Yeah.
um, like I said, they're great ideas. I don't say no. I just kind of nod and smile and say, "Oh, that's a good idea,"
I see you're better than
Yeah, but she knows. She knows I'm not. I'm
me. It's
just
like,
yeah. She knows it's BS.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So um, if somebody needs writing,
Mhm.
if somebody wants to write, I learned it. I didn't know you ghostwrote.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody wants to write a book, um, you is there any writing gig that you're not open to?
No, I do all types of writing. I mean, from web copy to I do resumes for people. I do anything that needs written press releases. And then, like you said, with books, I do ghostwriting. People who have a story to tell about their life, but they're not a writer. They come to me with it, and I help them, and I I, I turn it into a book for them. And it's still their book. It's published under their name, but without me, they probably never would have seen the light of day. Um, yeah. So yeah, any type of writing people need.
So we can look at you as the alternative of this horrible idea of AI taking over. You could
Yes,
actually maybe teach somebody how to write an essay because I'm not
absolutely.
convinced that kids can
Yeah.
write essays. Maybe write something without AI.
Right.
And you never use AI, correct?
No, no. I mean, I don't. The only AI. When you say AI, I think Allen Iverson. So uh, I don't even really pay attention to it. I mean, I know it's a big thing. And I know it's a valuable tool, but I don't use AI for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how would someone get a hold of you, in touch with you? Anybody, um, you're willing to work with anybody, not just locally in our town
Yeah.
or area. You could work with anybody throughout the entire country. And
Yeah.
how would they get a hold of you?
Well, you could go to my Substack. If you go to substack.com and look for my Substack name is at Val the Writer. So that's one way to do it. You could go to my website, which is valentinebrkich.com. Um, honestly, if you just type in my name on Google, all these ways to contact me pop up. So
Okay.
yeah,
And if we're talking to anybody that's out there with a company or whatnot, uh, you're doing freelance things too, right?
Yeah.
So even if they don't want to write a book, they want to do a brochure or something like that. It sounds like
Yeah.
you've got sounds like you might know somebody that can put
Yeah, I know.
some things together too for you with your writing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a whole team we can help you out with. So
Well, Val, I appreciate you coming on.
yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Uh, I I hope your success keeps going, and if somebody is valuing your success in monetary,
Hmm.
I hope you do have something that takes off one day.
Yeah, me too.
I hope that your books they don't go away.
No, no, they're here
They're
forever.
here.
They'll be here when I'm long gone.
They will be,
Yeah.
and that's what's really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, thanks for coming
Hey,
on,
man,
man.
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.